Have you ever wondered if you have the right stuff to start a home-based business? Or maybe you're to the point in your life that you're ready for life to maybe slow down a little bit from the corporate world, and you're wondering, could you actually swing a home-based job? Well, today that's going to be our topic that we're talking about here with our SBA, our SBA partner here that we work with in Sampson County, Don Spry, and he comes to us from Wilmington, the big metropolitan of Wilmington, North Carolina, compared to Clinton and the rest of our towns here in Sampson County.
So I'm a city slicker.
You're a city slicker that can ride a boat.
And grew up on a farm.
Well, okay. Well, maybe there's a little bit of a mixture in there, which makes for great stories. It makes for great stories. And so my name's Amanda Bradshaw, and I'm here with the Sampson Community College at the Small Business Center. And again, this is Don Spry.
The SBA guy.
The SBA guy. That's not his official title that he has on his card, but that's what everybody knows him by. And Don, somebody once told me a little story about you used to be a business owner yourself. Can you tell us a little bit about what that was, and was maybe that a home-based business?
I've had a couple of home-based businesses over my life. I've had the opportunity to, first I was in radio for many years, okay? You can tell, of course. But ultimately, I had got interested in finding a way to go ahead and get into concerts free, right? And I happened to be at a concert venue one time, and there was a guy there selling food out of a food truck, and I'm thinking, man, I can do that. So I went back and did some research, and eventually ended up buying a food trailer. And I had a couple of two very smoking hot friends of mine who were twins. Lena and Dina were their names, and they wanted to go into business with me. So we did that, and we ended up developing something that a friend of mine had actually given me menus for, because he was had a business called the Stuffed Pocket Restaurant at the University of Louisville, where I attended. And he took a position and went to Australia as a food consultant.
Oh, wow.
So he says, hey, you can have all the recipes that I have, you can use the logo, whatever you want, because I'm not going to use it again, okay? So I took most of that, but I did change the fact that he had the Stuffed Pocket Restaurant logo with a kangaroo and a deli sandwich jumping out of the pocket. I went with an Australian theme, okay, just because he was going to Australia and we were talking about different crazy slang. So I ended up developing a menu around an Australian type of thing, selling pita bread sandwiches, and then I sent out a circular or a flyer to all these different venue locations. When I bought my food trailer from a guy, he gave me a list of 50 or 60 different places. And guess what? Everybody who I contacted liked my concept of an Australian-themed kind of healthy food alternative than burgers, fries, and shakes. Okay, so once I started the business, then I was able to be in a lot of different venues. I got to get in concerts free, which is the big thing I wanted to be able to do.
That was your goal.
And guess what? We sold a lot of sandwiches. Okay, the smartest decision I made was for marketing was bringing in Lena and Dina. Okay, for sure, putting them in kangaroo hats and that kind of stuff. But ultimately, we had crazy, funny names with the different kinds of slushy drinks and so on. And the only cooking we did involved really just a microwave for a Hot Pocket or something similar. Okay, so what happened from that was I wanted to go ahead and brand my business further. So I got involved in making up some screen printing things for the Stuffed Pocket logo, and I did it with a glow-in-the-dark ink. And once I sold a couple of those, whenever the venue would go on late at night, folks started wanting to buy that to wear it like as they're dancing at concerts and stuff. So they're wearing this crazy looking, you know, kangaroo thing and jumping all over the stage. And I would sell, I kid you not, 1,000 T-shirts a weekend. Okay, even 1,000 a night some nights, just from the point of offering the Stuffed Pocket T-shirt with that glow-in-the-dark thing. And from that point forward, I started coming up with other kinds of slang and crazy things to go ahead and offer. So I really went from doing Hot Pockets and through the Stuffed Pocket restaurant to getting into screen printing. And then I sold my business to Lena and Dina, and they ran it for several years. And it was a great part-time business. I worked pretty much Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday with the restaurant. But then later on, I found it much more fun and much more enjoyable for me to make up, you know, crazy slogans and make up T-shirts. So that was in both cases. I sold those two businesses for a profit.
Very good, very good. So those are two great examples of home-based businesses.
Yes.
Because I think a lot of times, folks, whenever they think home-based, they think automatically that they're stuck to a desk and it's just on a computer. And so getting...
Which there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that, because there's great...
I did that the second business.
there's great jobs out there that you can do that with. But what do you think are some of the advantages that folks are trying to search out for home-based businesses? And what were some of those advantages for you?
Well, first is always the cost. We've seen just an explosion in terms of folks who've decided to make their business a home-based business, because ultimately you have a working space that may suit you better. You may have a lifestyle that requires you to go ahead and work out of the house. If you're able to go ahead and work out of a home, which I really don't like with what I do, because I just feel like my business is always there, my work is always there. Mm-hmm. But some people really thrive in that environment. So to me, it's a case of starting small, and most folks don't jump into a business full-time. They start part-time. Folks sometimes get in business as a hobby, and other folks do it as a business. And I define a hobby as something that costs you money, while a business is something that makes you money. Okay?
That's right.
So to me, you take a business as a business, no matter where you started at. But certainly the cost of starting that business is less by having it as a home-based business. Mm-hmm. And then you make the practical decision to go ahead and grow it at some point, perhaps, if your goal is to lease an office space or getting a brick and mortar establishment. But you have so many tools today to go ahead and advertise your business and work it smartly and properly. That's right. Because the internet's everywhere, there's Craigslist advertisers, a ton of resources now that a home-based business can be more effective. But I'll say this, if you have a home-based business, you should take a couple things first. Does it work for your family? Can you set up a place where it's a quiet and reserved space to let you do the kind of work? Can you be productive there? Ultimately, how about your neighbors? If you have people coming and going, you know, what's really going on? Mm-hmm. That's something, something the neighbor may ask. So if you've got a business that's going to require traffic into the house, be respectful, responsible to your neighbor and your neighborhood. Okay, so to me, that's the case. If you're having people in the house, other people don't know and see, then it's better to probably take that business out of the house and put it in a public facility.
Yep. And I'll give you a great example. We had one time a young lady that I was helping with her particular home-based business, and she had recently moved it from a storefront. She made the decision that it was just cheaper for her to run it from her garage at home. So she kind of fixed her workspace up, got it all ready to go. The one thing she did not consider whenever she was thinking about moving this from the storefront to the home was the fact that whenever she had deliveries, not all the time, but sometimes they came on 18-wheeler trucks. So this put an 18-wheeler truck backing down her driveway, her personal home driveway, and 9 times out of 10, you know, North Carolina's weather, the way we work, she would have ruts in her yard from where the weight of it was just too much for her yard. So those are some things that you need to consider. And like he said, time, you know, what time do you want to put into this? Are you trying to do this as a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home dad? Are there other children involved? Are there other partners involved into this? Do you have a dedicated workspace? I think that's probably the number one thing that I see sometimes as a challenge for home-based businesses is that they do not dedicate that workspace. They think, well, I can do home office and I can do business office all together. And it does not mix and mingle very well, which now I'm an organizational person. So for me, I need all of that totally separate so my mind can focus here whenever it needs to focus here and then back on the business whenever it needs to focus there. So a few more questions about the SBA. How does a home-based business mix in with the SBA?
Well, we're here to support any and all businesses, okay? So ultimately it comes back to the fact a home-based business is no different than a brick and mortar business because ultimately it's still bottom line profit and loss, okay? You still have to market, you still have to reach out to customers. You have to identify the fact that it is a home-based business, okay? And ultimately there may be some issues with the bank sometimes over getting access to capital. But we do have alternative lenders that will help you get access to capital if a bank won't. So to me, it's really a case of having the business plan first, putting together something that's strong in terms of a package and specializing or concentrating on marketing that makes sense, having the financial numbers, and do you have a reserve space so you can work for that? Now, the problem is sometimes that a bank won't do it because they want to make sure it's zoned as a commercial area. Okay,
That's exactly
so that may be an issue sometimes. So really it's going to be a case of if you have to leverage capital, talking to a lender and telling them up front, this is a home-based business, I have no reason to offer an office because of my particular job or business. It could be an insurance agency, it could be a home inspection, it could be a desktop publishing business. There's a number of things that you can do, secretarial, a Girl Friday type concept that you don't have to have an office for initially, but at some point maybe you would have to grow into because your business continues to expand and the need for a public face becomes more important.
That's exactly right. You mentioned a lot of great points there. And, you know, I see a lot of folks now, I think even more now than we did 5, 6, 7 years ago, trending towards the home-based business. I've met a lot of folks, especially in the past 6 months, that they are either A, looking forward to retirement, B, sick of what they're doing now in their current public jobs that they're working on, or they've enjoyed it, but they feel like they've done what they can do where they are. So they're looking for a new challenge. And so that home-based business is that outlet for them. So a few tips and pointers that you could give for home-based businesses?
Well, I'll say first that we talked about the fact of a hobby that becomes a business, hopefully over time. The sad fact of what's going on in this economy is most of us are not better off salary-wise than we were when the Great Recession began. We've seen incomes drop over time. And I don't think that prices have gone down. Yes, we've had a bit of a relief on the gas price, but that's because the whole worldwide issue is affecting gas prices. So for most of us, costs have gone up, salaries have basically remained flat, and it's very tough coming east of I-95 to have a chance to build opportunities because skills are not being paid for really what they're worth compared to other larger cities. So to me, if you have a hobby that you enjoy doing or you have a skill that you want to put to use, you consider what will work for you in the marketplace where people will pay you income for, okay? Is it something that you see that competitively that you can provide a better service for, that is not being met in the market in the same way perhaps, and you certainly want to be able to have competitors in the market that you can kind of be able to determine if your service is better than theirs or not. So first is sit down again and work up that business plan, research it to see how it works, and do you have the skill sets that other folks will pay you, you know, a pretty penny for where you can, okay? And then build relationships over time, doing networking. Since you're working out of the house, you can kind of hopefully be flexible with some of your time and hours. But I see a lot of folks who just want extra income when they first start that, right? Or maybe they have retired and want to add to extra income, you know, from their retirement income. It really depends. Or you simply have a skill set that you want to offer that you can't offer through your particular business model or through your employer. So there's a lot of flexibility with it. It can be very exciting. I loved having my home-based businesses. It's not for everybody. You've got to have the discipline, and you've got to be willing to go ahead and put in lots of hours, and it's got to be something, regardless of the business, it has to be the hardest thing to do that you've ever loved to do, okay? And the passion is what carries you through when maybe you're working one job in the daytime or taking care of a family while working on your business that may require a lot of late hours, and you're the last person to get paid if you get paid at all. So you've really got to have the discipline and the get up and go, the get her done, all that stuff that goes into that, because ultimately being successful is going to require great sacrifice, personal sacrifice, professional sacrifice, a lot of networking, a lot of handshaking, and never giving up. You've got your mind's eye out there on what you want to be, and only you will limit yourself to be successful.
Absolutely. So going back to you having your own business, what is one point that you learned and would like to share with everyone that you thought was the greatest thing that you learned from owning your own businesses?
It goes in ways that you just never appreciate or even understand. And your customers give you the best ideas, or even your employees, their best ideas. Your customer wants you to be successful because what have you done? You've met a need they've had. And then you get tied into making sure that you want to make sure that your customers succeed through that transaction. So that's what I saw, is I come back thinking, man, I've really provided a rewarding service to my customer. I've made a new friend, which I did many, many times, okay? And bottom line, I learned a lot about how to interact with people in a positive way, even when you have conflict. Somebody says, I don't like my sandwich. Well, how can I make it up to you? How can I make it right? You can end up turning conflict into an opportunity and end up developing a relationship of value and equity, maybe for life in some cases. So always look at ways to go ahead and subtly sell your product, always market the product, always brand the product in a positive way, and always be looking to have that 15, 20, or 30 seconds with somebody to see if you can't develop a relationship that goes ahead and allows you to maybe service them in a new way or be able to maybe get a customer contact and grow the business in a whole new way you did not consider.
Great. Thanks, Don, for giving us that first-hand insight there of owning your own business. And again, Don, tell us how, if I wanted to know how to get up with you to learn a little bit more about what the SBA does and what they could do to help my home-based business, what can I do to get in touch with you?
Don Spry, the SBA guy. My cell number is 910-398. 0746, or always by email as well at don.spry, S-P-R-Y, at sba.gov.
Very good. Thank you, Don. Again, this is Amanda here at the Small Business Center at Sampson Community College here in Clinton in Sampson County. And we would love, both of us would love to have the opportunity to meet with you. If you have questions, you just want to discuss it a little bit further, or want to bounce those ideas around, we are happy to meet with you. So give us a call here at the college. You can reach me directly by calling 592-8081. That number again, 592-8081. And that extension is 2032. And the other thing that I want to throw in there too is all of our services are at no cost. They're at no cost. So that's one of the probably number 2 question that I get whenever folks call in is, how much is this going to cost me, or do I owe you anything for this? You've already paid for it with your tax dollars if you live in the state of North Carolina. So please come take advantage of this and be part of this program.
And I'll say, free and confidential, and free does not mean cheap. This is outstanding service providing that we offer you.
Absolutely, absolutely. High quality. You get nothing but high quality and 110% support behind us whenever you come in our doors. So thanks again, and hope you have a great week.